Mapping, linking, and syncing your accounts is the key really to getting set up. And there are three file types, if you will, that can be linked at present to a Qvinci company. There's also the ability to link via an Excel file or import via an Excel file, which is what you would use in cases where your particular accounting software is not supported or not yet supported by Qvinci. Or, for example, QuickBooks desktop versions in foreign countries aren't necessarily supported by Qvinci. At this point, it's only the US version that is. We're not going to cover the Excel. What I'm going to recommend on that is that you contact support at Qvinci, because there can be some complexities getting that set up, and they will walk you through to make sure that you get set up properly if in fact it's Excel you need to link and sync with. What we will go over in this lesson is how to link to a QuickBooks Online company, a Xero company, and a QuickBooks Desktop company based on the US version of QuickBooks Desktop. Come along with me, let's see what this looks like. We'll show you how to get linked, synced, and mapped to each of these company file types. If you're thinking about using Qvinci, the use cases are many, and you may want to do some planning before you get your new company started in Qvinci to think in terms of what you're trying to accomplish and how it's going to work, what that's going to look like in Qvinci. The obvious use case is any case where I would like to consolidate financial statements. Franchises would be one. If I have a chain with multiple locations, very similar to a franchise in terms of what it looks like in the structure. But there are other use cases that may not be as obvious that we're going to discuss as we go through this course, such as an accounting professional, you may have lots of clients in the same industry, and you can use Qvinci to consolidate their reporting information only for your own internal use. Of course, you wouldn't share one client's information with another, but you can use that information, as you're going to see later on, to benchmark and provide valuable information to your clients in terms of how they measure up against their competition in their area, let's say. So, when you're laying out Qvinci and getting ready, you might want to do something like what I've got here in terms of a mind map and start laying out the different locations, so that's going to help you identify what the structure is. And the really cool thing is that you can use multiple accounting packages to consolidate, which is great because you might have one location that for whatever reason wants to use Xero, and another location that for whatever reason wants to use QuickBooks Online, and a third one that wants to use QuickBooks Desktop. And I'm going to show you how to map, link, and sync all of them right here in this lesson. So here you might do location 1, location 2, location 3. So, and of course, you'd use more specific information, but then you can lay out in a mind map like this and list kind of each location and what software they want to be linked to and synced with, right? And before we can do any of that, the thing about Qvinci and what makes it so great is that we're going to create a standardized chart of accounts, or an SCOA, in order to consolidate the reporting for all of these locations. So right now I'm in a sample company, but what I'm going to do is I want to create a new company so that we can show you from scratch what it looks like when you map, link, and sync. So over here, and I did that pretty quickly, but when I go in here, multi-store franchise is the sort of name of the sample company that I'm looking at. And if you're in Qvinci and you have an account you've already started and you'll see your company listed here. When you're ready to go create a new company, click on that and you'll see the existing company and all companies. So click on all companies, and this is where I can say I want to add a company. And so here it kind of gives you, similar to what I was doing in the mind mapping software, a little schematic of what it might look like. So let's just call this World Domination. If I could type. Incorporated. Accounting method. Again, I have a personal feeling about this, which is that you should always do accrual, because even though you might file your returns on a cash basis, we always want to analyze a business on an accrual basis. I have lengthy posts that I've written about why that is. The short answer is I can't possibly be looking at the whole picture and properly analyze a company if I don't do it on accrual, because accrual leaves out accounts receivable and accounts payable, and it leaves out the income that I've earned but haven't been paid on yet, and the expenses that I've incurred and haven't paid on yet. So personally, I think it's a mistake to do cash, especially when you're looking at a product like Qvinci, where the whole purpose is to do consolidated financial reporting so you can properly analyze your company from 360 degrees all the way around. We'll select the home currency, US dollars, and we're going to enable everything. Why not? I guess I'm forced to use an NAICS code. Okay, so let's just do accounting, since that's the business I'm in. Other accounting services. Perfect. So that was easy anyway. All right, now I can choose from among the templates for a standard chart of accounts, or I can create my own. So in the interest of keeping things simple, let's just choose service, right? Because that's what I am. But obviously, I would encourage you to choose one of the standards if you can, and then you can always edit that standardized chart of accounts. But remember, this is the chart of accounts that all of your locations are ultimately going to conform to. Now, to be clear, that does not mean that your locations are going to have to change their chart of accounts. The whole beauty of this is they can keep their chart of accounts exactly as they are, but we're going to map them here in Qvinci such that they get consolidated into our standard for consolidated reporting purposes. So we're going to have to map those accounts, and if it's not obvious, we're going to have to tell Qvinci this account in this location's chart of accounts gets mapped to this account in the standard chart of accounts. So now we're going to start adding locations. So let's just call it WD location 1, World Domination location 1. Okay, and it comes up with my email and my name because this is my account. And we're going to say add location. And let's say we're going to say WD location 2. Actually, let's do it like this, just so it's a little clearer. So location QBO, location 0, and WD location QBD for QB desktop. Okay, because we're going to map, link, and sync all three company file types. And then so I'm going to delete that one. I don't need that one. And we're going to say finish. Okay, so now we're going to select our plan. And I'll just select professional preferred. This way we have access to everything. And I'll just say we'll pay monthly for now. And I'm going to fill in my billing information real quick. So off recording, I filled in my credit card information, and I get a free trial, right? So I get a trial period. It says my account number is invalid. Okay, let's try again. Apparently, I left off the first digit in my card account number. Picky. And now it says that my credit card has expired. This is weird. And once you properly enter your credit card information with the right expiration date, then you'll see this screen where you can manage your location. So remember, each location is like an entity unto itself. So now I have to decide what I'm going to link to. So let's say that this first location was, it looks like QB desktop because we're sorted alphabetically here, so that makes sense. So for the desktop, we have to download the Sync app. So I'm going to do that right now. And it's going to give me instructions. And keep in mind, this is just a screenshot. So you might be tempted to click here where it says Save File. Don't. Nothing's going to happen. You got to click the link here where it says Download the Qvinci Sync application. These are just instructions for what to do after you've done that. So let me go into my Downloads folder and save this. And then we'll get this set up. Looks like Windows doesn't want me to run it, but I know better. So I click More, Run Anyway. I promise you it's safe. So just pretty much click Next through the prompts. You're going to want to, of course, accept the terms of use. And a lot of times these days they make you scroll all the way down in order to be able to check off the checkbox. And click Next. And now it's just confirming where it's going to install. Next. And then we're going to click Install to begin the installation of the Qvinci Sync for QuickBooks Desktop. So it looks like it's been successfully installed, and it says I need to restart my system in order to save the changes or make the changes. So we're going to stop the recording, and we're going to save everything, and then we're going to restart the computer and resume recording. Okay, so I closed all my applications, restarted my computer, and as you can see, what I've done here, because we're going to be linking to a QuickBooks Desktop file, is I've gone ahead and taken the time to open up the QuickBooks Desktop file that I want to link to, which is a good idea because obviously when we start the process with Qvinci's app, it's going to be looking for this file or whichever file it is you want to link up. So now I'm going to open up my Qvinci Sync client and finish the process. Okay, so it starts you off here. It says in file sync, but we have to go here to link because first we have to link the file. So we'll need to enter our Qvinci logins in order to get this to work. Once we're back into the Qvinci Sync client and we've got the QuickBooks file open, to make sure that it's very clear which file we want to sync, I want to select the location that I want to sync the QuickBooks Desktop file to, and then I'm going to click Intuit QuickBooks right here. And as you can see in the background, it pops up. So it says, please open the QuickBooks file for linking. We've done that. We're going to say yes, always allow, even if QuickBooks is not running. I'll click continue and confirm, done. And now it's asking about, it's saying the file contains classes. You can actually sync classes as a location. So you can say these classes are locations and they'll get treated as separate locations. So I'm going to say this is a single location. And that's it. So then we select location and we're good to go. So now it's syncing. Okay, great, sync completed. So that one's done. I'm going to close this app and let's close the computer. I'll just minimize it for now. So let's go back here. Now we've seen how to link a QuickBooks Desktop file. Now we're going to link up in the other locations. We'll go to Manage Locations, and we're going to add the other locations. So let's link to QuickBooks Online. So over here, connect to QuickBooks, and it's going to have me log in. So again, it's a good idea to already be logged into your QuickBooks Online account. And now we're going to be prompted to and ask which file we want to link to. So I'm looking for my American Arrogant Retail. There it is. I have the same company name and sample files for QuickBooks Online and Desktop. I'll authorize it. And now we are linked. Notice the little green light lets me know. So last but not least, we're going to link to 0. So down here, connect to 0, and notice I'm already logged in. I don't have an American Arrogant Retail on 0, so I just have my Nerd Enterprises partner account, which I will link to. So now I have to choose the company that I want to link to and authorize. So, of course, it's much easier to link to cloud accounting applications, which is yet another reason why I encourage people to get off of desktop software and get into the cloud. It just makes life so much easier on so many levels, and this is one example. However, now you've seen how to link to QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Online, and Xero. Next, we're going to start looking at how to manage the standard chart of accounts. So that's going to be right down here under Manage where it says SCOA. If you choose to, you can ask Qvinci, in so many words, to do the mapping for you. So here when we're in the Standard Chart of Accounts Review section, under Manage, and all the way down here at SCOA, which is Standard Chart of Accounts. Notice here where it says Force Contributor Account Mapping and Force Manager Account Mapping, both are disabled. You can edit this, and you can turn them both on by checking them off and clicking Save. That will get Qvinci to make an effort to map everything. There may be some outliers. Qvinci has algorithms. It's looking based on account names and things. in order to determine whether it's an obvious match between an account in the locations chart of accounts versus the account in the standard chart of accounts. You may want to avoid doing this because it'll give you a little bit more control in terms of how you map it. And that's what we're going to show you here in this next segment of this lesson in terms of how to get the accounts mapped. We're going to go down to map them, and we're going to do it manually. Of course, we can go in here and we're under the Manage menu. Notice we're in World Domination Incorporated. We're under the Manage menu. And we have the standard chart of accounts here that I've selected to go into that area. And we can certainly edit this chart of accounts as we see fit. If you recall from the beginning of the lesson, I showed you when I was in setup that I chose the service type business for the standard chart of accounts. So the chart of accounts was derived from that template. And here I can go in and I can edit the chart of accounts accordingly. Once I've got my standard chart of accounts set up the way I think I like it, what I want to do is come down here to Tools, and we're going to choose Map to Standard Chart of Accounts. And what it's going to do is it's going to show me the outliers. The outliers are the ones that Qvinci couldn't on its own figure out for sure how to map. So we're going to go account type by account type. So we're going to start with income. And then what we want to do is we want to say, all right, so in location QBD we have merchandise sales, and that's not mapped. So let's deal with that one. So we might want to call that product income, right? And then I'll choose map selection. Okay, then we have in the QBO location, we have a reimbursed expenses account. And it's not in here. So let's go back to the standard chart of accounts and let's add that in as an income account type, because that's certainly the way I like to do it. Is I like to show the reimbursed expenses as income, and that gets washed out with the expense that was incurred that was later reimbursed, and that's how I like it presented on the profit and loss statement. Just my personal preference. So let's go back to Manage and Standard Chart of Accounts, and in the income section we're going to create an account, and I'm going to call it Reimbursed Expenses. Let's just leave it in the general category of services, and then I'll choose Add. So now there's my reimbursed expenses. Let's go back to manage this now, or to map it rather. So now I have reimbursed expenses, which can go to reimbursed expenses and get mapped. And then we have WD location in QBO, native account services, and that's going to go to services and map selection. Now we're going to go down to cost of goods sold, and same thing. So we have credit card processing fees here, and we can map that to merchant account fees. Map selection. See how easy this is? I love it when it's easy. So now we have office supplies, which didn't get mapped to an account in the standard chart of accounts, but here it is, office supplies. And we'll map it. That's the only one. We'll go to other income. Nothing to do there. So if there's nothing here, that means everything that needed to get mapped in that category did. Nothing in other expense. Bank accounts. So all of these at once can get mapped to checking account. Map selection. So you see how you can do that. So across all locations, I was able to just say, you know what, all the bank accounts are going to be checking. You can choose to break it out differently, but for me that works. So here we have two different accounts receivables, two different locations. Again, I'm going to map them all to the one accounts receivable. Nothing in other current assets. Let's go to fixed asset. Computer equipment, computer equipment. Nothing in other current liabilities to map. Long-term liability, we're good. Other liability, almost there. Equity. So net income should go to net income. Let's map that one. Owner's equity should go to owner's equity. Owner's draw can go with shareholder distributions. And of course, retained earnings is retained earnings. And that's it, my friends. We've just completely standardized. So we've mapped, linked, and synced all of our accounts from all three locations. That is the process that you're going to have to go through when you do your initial setup. And for that matter, anytime you add a location, you're going to want to go back in here and do the mapping and just make sure that everything is mapped so that when you look at your consolidated financial reporting, you have everything standardized exactly according to the chart of accounts of each of your locations. But that, my friends, is how you map, link, and sync your locations into a company in Qvinci. So stay tuned for the next lesson. Review this as much as you need to and make sure that you understand everything that we went over. And then in lesson 2, we're going to do the next sort of phase of what you're probably going to want to do as you're setting up your account and locations, which is to, we're going to look at the alerts area. You can set alerts so that you can be notified about important things that are going on based on the fact that this is constantly updating your real-time information from all of your locations. So again, review everything you need to, make sure you understand it all, and when you're ready to, move on to the next lesson. I'll see you there. As you can see, the process is fairly straightforward when it comes to mapping, linking, and syncing your various locations' accounting data files to your company in Qvinci. Each location gets set up with its attendant accounting software, and of course you'll map the chart of accounts from that location to your standardized chart of accounts in Qvinci. And with this in place, you can probably already begin to see how this is going to play into everything else you're going to do. Having everything, of course, standardized based on one central chart of accounts is going to then enable you to do some really powerful things when it comes to having alerts go out, pro forma, which is where we can benchmark things based on what's in your industry, and of course all kinds of reporting, as you're going to see throughout the remainder of this course.